This is the ticket to have in Pittsburgh tonight. A big crowd expected for Game 3 of a 4-game series as the Atlanta Braves visit and take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hi again, everybody, along with the man with the best tie in the ballpark, Steve Blass. I'm Tim Neverett, and tonight the Pirates try for their second straight win over the Atlanta Braves. They'll do it a little bit differently with a different look at third base, but he's a right-handed bat. Russell Martin getting the start at third, but his bat has been playing lately.
Absolutely. He's kind of getting it going. You want to keep the hot corner hot. So Russell Martin is going to be at third base as Clint Hurdle just loads up the lineup with right-hand batters against left-hander Paul Mulholland. So we'll see how Russell handles third base and hope he keeps the bat hot.
This will be his second appearance at third base this season, his 17th career appearance at third base, and Clint Hurdle feels very comfortable with him there and very comfortable with the offense as well. Over the last 11 days, the Pirates' offense has been much better than at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. Remember all the doom and gloom when the Pirates were 1-5? Oh, they can't hit, they're not hitting, they'll never hit. We might as well not play these games. Well, the bats have really come alive, and when you score a lot of runs, it makes life a lot easier for everybody. The hitters feel better, the pitchers absolutely feel better, and the Pirates are on a roll with the sticks right now.
It's Paul Mulholland for the Braves against James McDonald for the Pirates as we count you down to the first pitch at PNC Park. It's Andrew McCutchen bobblehead night here tonight. Braves and Bucks coming up. PNC Park. Big start for J-Mac tonight. 1-2 the record, but he's 3-0 against the Atlanta Braves in his career. Freddie Gonzalez lineup tonight for the Braves. B.J. Upton leading off. His brother Justin Upton in the third spot. 4 doubles, 9 home runs, 13 runs batted in. Evan Gattis is in the cleanup spot. Then Chris Johnson moves over to first. Dan Uggla, Juan Francisco at third base, played there 2 nights ago. The shortstop Andrelton Simmons, and Paul Mulholland bats ninth against J-Mac.
Your numbers for James McDonald, presented by Chevrolet. Start number 4. He was knocked around, 8 runs given up, only 3 were earned, but look beyond that. He got knocked around. He gave up 8 hits also, so it wasn't just bad play in back of him. He's got to get that squared away, and you want him to get squared away early. Put up a 0 in the first, put up a 0 in the second, and you're kind of on your way.
Well, here we go, and he delivers a swinging strike to B.J. Upton. We're underway. B.J. Upton, who was ejected from the game last night, takes strike 2.
And that fastball, by the way, 92, 93 miles an hour. Pretty good zip on those first 2 deliveries. And perfect curveball. Yeah, there's a way to start your night. Here you go, James.
That's a terrific start for James McDonald as he goes good morning, good afternoon, good night on B.J. Upton.
Yep, 2 fastballs and then a good-looking hook down and away. Picked him right up where Wandy left off last night.
It's not a bad place to pick up.
That's a good neighborhood.
Jason Hayward, the right fielder, was hitting 127 to start the season. He takes a fastball strike. Now here's an interesting number, Steve. The last 4 games, the Pirates have won when the opposition goes down 1-2-3 in the first.
Okay.
So keep that in mind when watching James McDonald pitch tonight.
It's almost like a vendetta approach. You know, James is out there. It almost looks like he's got a score to settle from last start.
1-1 pitch, swing and a miss.
Plenty of zip on the fastball. All the fastballs have been good. They've all been upstairs.
And the 1-2 is fouled back. Oh, ball and 2 strikes to Jason Hayward.
Well, we know that James McDonald is primarily a fastball pitcher. He's a power guy. And when he is effective, the fastball has some zip on it, and it's thrown in good locations.
1 ball, 2 strike pitch. Got him. Well, James McDonald comes out of the gate and strikes out the first 2 Atlanta Braves.
Another good hook. Both fastballs finished off with curveballs, but started off with good, effective, high fastballs.
Now he'll face the majors' home run leader in Justin Upton with 9. Upton, the fastest Brave to get to 9 home runs in franchise history. It took him 15 games to get there. And he will take that pitch for a ball. Next fastest, 17 games. Chipper Jones did it in 1998. Dale Murphy in 1985. 1 ball and 1 strike to Upton. So numbers against the Braves have been very, very good. 1.5 ERA, 3-0 record.
5 runs and 3 starts. That'll work for you.
McDonald gets his sign from Michael McHenry. And Upton fouls it off, and he's behind 1-2.
So far, that 92-mile-an-hour fastball, according to the gun here in the ballpark, tempered with the 76-mile-an-hour curveball. Nice separation, 92 to 76. See if he goes back upstairs.
Upton fouls this one off. The defense tonight slightly different than last night. In the outfield, starting Marte is back out there. Tabata starts in right field. Russell Martin makes his first start as a Pirate at third base. Gabby Sanchez at first with Michael McHenry, the fourth.
Right-hand hitters. Right-hand hitters. Paul Maholm, the lefty.
Loaded up with the righties in the order. And J-Mac strikes out the side to start the first. He's got to be feeling good right now. Braves done in order in the top half of the first inning. Take a look at the Toyota lineup for your Pirates tonight. Marte leading off, back in there after sitting out last night. And Tabata and McCutchen. Sanchez batting cleanup. Russell Martin playing third base, batting fifth. His bat's heating up over the last 4 games, 6 for 14 with a home run. Walker, the switch hitter, hit 6. Then McHenry, Barmes, and McDonald against the lefty Mahala. Starling Marte, Jose Tabata, 1-2 at the top of the order.
Paul Mahala, simply the best pitcher in the major leagues right now. The best. 3 starts, he's not given up a run. Simple as that. He's striking out a batter per inning, and whatever it is they're feeding Paul Mahala, boy, it's agreeing with him. The diet's working. He's just really been pitching well. In fact, from the time that he was getting ready to finish up his work with the Cubs, when he had a 1 ERA in his last 6 starts in Chicago, very good work with the Braves last year, great spring training, and he has just not missed a beat. And we'll see how it goes for Paul Mahala in start number 4.
So Mahala gets set to face Starling Marte. Marte a night off after 2 nights ago striking out 5 times for the first time in his career, and he will take a strike. Paul making his 100th career start at PNC Park. He is the wins leader at PNC Park also with 36 victories. 0-1 pitch, and Marte tries to bunt. Now he's behind 0-2.
Paul Mahala, a lot of years here with the Pirates in this ballpark. Now that's pretty good rankings right there.
641 in the 3rd innings pitched, the most. His 100th start, and he plunks Starling Marte, and the Pirates get the game's first base runner. And Marte might want to run here.
Paul gets that breaking ball maybe toward the back foot. Nope, front foot. Gets a piece of him. You know, in the big picture, Paul Mahala, as you take a look at Marte at first base, and you wonder about the running game of the Pirates tonight, not likely to see it a lot, perhaps, with the left-hand pitcher looking right at you. But Mahala did everything here in Pittsburgh but win a lot. Pitched well, he's dependable, he's durable.
And the slide step and the strike delivered to Tabata. Paul holds runners pretty well. He does have a good move to first base, and when he uses that slide step, he can get a quick delivery to the plate. And if you're Marte, you've just got to guess right against Mahala. Hope that he's going to the plate.
Yep, that's the approach when you're trying to steal off a lefty. Just try to pick the right time where he's already made his mind up to go to home plate. And if you guess right, you're in there easily. If you're not, you're hung out to dry.
Mahala out of Greenville, Mississippi, and Mississippi State. Still a season ticket holder for the Bulldogs football team there. Told me he doesn't go to many, if any, games, but he still has season tickets. There you go, Steve. That might match the tie you have on. If you had a face that looked like that, your tie would go great with that.
Yep.
So 0-2 to Jose Tabata.
Modest lead at first.
It's inside, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
We're talking about Paul's success. He said nothing dramatic. He says he's hitting his spots, pitching better, changing speeds, and I've heard that theme from a lot of people talking about the success that he's had so far, changing speeds very, very well. And he is not afraid to come inside to right-hand batters, and that's effective too. He mentioned that in our conversation. He is very aware of having to protect the inside part of the plate, which protects the outside part of the plate, because he knows that people dive out to get that sinking fastball down and away, so he's not afraid to come into the righties.
Throw to first base. Well, the way that it's gone for Mahala, he is just the 4th major league pitcher during the expansion era to win his first 3 games of a season, all starts without allowing a run. The others, Louis Tiant in 1966 with the Indians. There's a ground ball to short. Simmons to Ugla for 1. Back to Johnson. That's a double play. And there are 2 men out. 6-4 to 3.
Easy as pie. This one's tailor-made. There's that sinker outside. If you try to pull it, you roll over on it, you're going to hit a lot of Ground balls, you might hit them well, but a lot of them going to be right at that shortstop, and that produce the double play. You've got to take that sinker and try to go the opposite way with it.
Well, it's McCutcheon's night tonight, and everybody's got a bobblehead. For 25,000 fans getting the awards bobblehead tonight. There it is, All-Star, Gold Glove, and he's got the silver bat, indicating the Silver Slugger Award.
A nice piece of memorabilia. Everybody's also have a coat, a very heavy coat tonight. It's cold.
Well, 2 down, and coming up at the end of this inning, there will be a tribute to the victims of the Boston Marathon with a Red Sox tradition. That's coming up. This one is tapped foul. 0-2 to McCutcheon. And we're going to show you what that's all about right after the very next commercial break, the end of this half inning.
We saw an indication of Paul Maholm's separation from that 89, 90 mile an hour fastball down to 65 on the curve.
McCutcheon pops it up to center field, and B.J. Upton will get underneath it. And the Pirates are done in the first. No score after 1 at PNC Park. Proceeds from the Pirates charities in-park 50-50 raffle tonight will be donated to onefundboston.org, which is raising funds to assist those families most affected by the events that occurred at the Boston Marathon. A Red Sox tradition, Sweet Caroline.
Reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. I've been inclined to believe they never would.
Batting fourth for the Braves, catcher number 24, Evan Gaddis.
And when I heard
Flags remaining at half staff here, PNC Park. In remembrance of those victims and the injured. Top of the second inning, Evan Gaddis, the catcher tonight, started at first base last night and hit a pinch hit home run in game 1 of this series, his first ever in his career. Takes a strike from McDonald. McDonald came out of the gates red hot, striking out Upton, Hayward, and Upton.
Sounds like a law firm.
Well, they're an outfield firm. They've led the Braves, especially Justin Upton, to the best start in baseball this year, 13-3. One thing J-Mac needs to do, keep this team in the ballpark. The Braves are 13-0 this year in games in which they hit a home run. That's a trend.
And the only way we've been able to beat the Braves so far this year is to shut them out. The 3 losses have been shutouts.
2-1 to Gaddis. And hit him. And J-Mac saying that he left his arm out. It looked like he might have had his arm out over the plate. Whether it was intentional or not is up to the umpire. But man on first regardless.
He had his arm out, but he's also protecting his head. Well,
the Braves with their first base runner. And Chris Johnson First baseman tonight at the plate. And he hits this one well to right center field. On the run in the notches, Marte. He cannot make the catch. Gaddis will stop at third, and in with a double is Johnson.
And he got there.
He got there, couldn't haul it in.
I don't know whether he got nervous right around that 410 sign at the last possible second, but he did a great job of getting there. And we'll have a chance when we get it up close to see how close. Yeah, he just didn't finish the extension, almost like he was starting to pull up with the body and pull back with the glove a little bit. It would have been a great play, but all of a sudden now it's a whole different inning than the first.
Nobody out, second and third for Dan Uggla. Gabby Sanchez playing the right side of the infield by himself, and he's in almost on the grass. Walker playing up the middle for Uggla, who takes a ball. So the table is set for Uggla and the Braves here in the second inning. One 0 pitch from McDonald. And Uggla will take a strike. One ball and one strike to Dan Uggla.
You know, I don't want to seem premature, Tim, but it almost looked, even to the first batter, Gaddis, before he hit him, James came out extremely aggressive in the first, and it just doesn't look quite as smooth here in the second. I'll hedge my bet here. And the curve is missing now, and it can happen very quickly, but everything he threw in the first inning looked aggressive and strong and confident. And now in the second inning, not off to a good start, put it that way.
2 ball, 1 strike pitch. Now it's 3-1.
And even though that missed, it didn't look like it had the same kind of release. Remember the first inning fastball had that good jump and that good zip.
Out of his hand like it was
jumped.
Yep. Yeah, jumped right out. But now it's a 3-1 count, and J-Mac in danger of loading the bases.
The second inning was his bugaboo last time out. Good breaking ball there. Good call by Michael McHenry, not giving into the fastball, throwing the curve, and James delivering it to get the count full. Not the best curve, but you don't have to have the best curve when the guy's looking for something else. He's looking for the fastball. It was a curveball, kind of middle strike zone, but okay because it was something unexpected.
And the payoff pitch is low, and the bases are full of Braves with nobody out.
See, these fastballs, now maybe it's a two-seamer, maybe he's trying to throw it differently, but that good live fastball in the first inning had a lot of finish.
Strikes out the side in the first, loads him up with nobody out in the second. And Juan Francisco, who didn't play last night, takes his .318 average to the plate, 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in for Atlanta. Pirates will definitely trade 2 for 1. They get a double play here.
How about just going 1, 2, 3? That's the fastball that we saw a lot of in the first inning, kind of pouring it in. It's just kind of riding into home plate. There have been several that look different now. If it's a two-seam fastball, that explains it. But if it doesn't, then it's a little different delivery. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, this looks like James in the first. Downstairs nicely.
0-2 pitch. And hanging on to it is McHenry. Francisco strikes out. So if you're looking ahead and you're a glass half full person, now you get a chance to get out of the inning with a ground ball playable to one of the infielders.
And that's James McDonald's new best friend, Michael McHenry, holding on to that ball. That is huge. You can throw that grave curve ball. You can just get a piece, and it just fouled off, and it's wasted. But Michael saved it.
4 strikeouts for James McDonald. All 4 outs that he has recorded in the ball game so far have been by way of strikeout.
If I'm not mistaken, all 4 swinging curveballs.
Well, with the exception of B.J. Upton to lead off the game, he took a curveball.
Yeah.
But all curveballs nonetheless.
And now he's got a chance to do a Houdini, get out of this thing. And get a very non-productive out, and then you go to the pitcher, Paul Mulholland. But you've got to throw strikes here. This is critical. You're down in the part of the batting order where you do have a chance to wiggle out of it. Under the watchful eye. Skipper and the pitching coach.
Simmons has not grounded into a double play yet this year. And J-Mac goes 3-0 to the number 8 hitter with the bases loaded. As you mentioned, he's the guy you got to throw strikes to in this case. And McDonald, nowhere to put him right now.
And he's got to come back with a fastball now, assuming that Simmons is taking. Throw the ball over the middle of the plate.
And he missed. So command a bit of an issue here in the second inning for McDonald as he walks in the game's first run. It's 1-0 Atlanta. So the man he hit with a pitch, Evan Gattis, comes across to score. So that's the 3rd free pass of the inning. He's walked 2, hit a man, and allowed the double to Johnson. And the bases remain loaded for Paul Mulholland. And for Paul, he'll just probably be happy to take a strikeout here, knowing Paul, rather than hit it to a double play.
Well, knowing Paul also, he'll want to swing the bat and help himself. But, let's hope he can find a Pirate infielder.
Here's the first one. Well, one thing Paul's happy with, regardless of the outcome of his at-bats, as long as he gets 4 of them in a game, he feels he's had a good night.
Yep, any starter will agree with that.
0-1 to Paul Mulholland. Runner at third is Johnson. Now it's 0-2. Dan Uggla's over at second base. Hamilton Simmons, the runner at first.
Now this is what I was talking about earlier before the game. James has had a problem sometimes with getting in a jam and not giving up just 1 or 2, but getting into those 4 and 5 run innings. Here's where you want to make a pitch. Okay, you've given up 1. Boy, if you can limit to 1 or even 2.
And Paul takes strike 3.
Drops that curveball in again.
5 strikeouts for McDonald.
And again, see where the location was. It doesn't have to be great. You've got somebody looking for a different pitch. They're going to lock up, they'll freeze, they'll flinch, and you can get that call. Now, 1 more step to go, and it's not going to be easy. But again, working out of jams. Every pitcher gets in jams. Minimize your damage. Minimize. You're going to get hurt a little bit. Just don't get hurt a lot.
Upton's got to be hungry. He has struck out his last 2 at-bats, going back to the 7th inning last night when he struck out looking, then got ejected after arguing with home plate umpire Sam Holbrook. Struck out looking to start the game here tonight.
And kind of escalated, did Holbrook with him, kind of shooing him away, dismissing him, and that's when it really went off the charts.
0-1, swing and a miss.
See, there's that fastball. The 93 miles an hour, and he's been Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in this inning.
We've seen his velocity over the last couple of starts not really get up there on 93 all that often. No balls, 2 strikes to B.J. Upton. Strike 3. James McDonald has struck out 6. He gets out of the inning giving up just 1.
brought to you by Toyota. Now's the time to go places with Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com for special offers. And by PNC for the achiever in you. Let's go Bucks.
Well, it's a nice night, a little chilly in Atlanta with a gift run, 1-0 as we go to the bottom half of the second inning. But considering the jam that James McDonald got himself in, bases loaded, nobody out, giving up just the 1 run, seemed to be the best case scenario considering, and he ended up striking out the side both the first and the second. Gabby Sanchez will lead off for the Bucks facing Mulholland.
Yeah, that was wild. I mean, he really pitched exceptionally well and exceptionally bad. He minimized the damage. That's what pitching is all about. You're going to have those struggling innings. It might not be that bizarre all the time, but you got the job done. Just a single run.
2 balls, no strikes to Gabby Sanchez. Gabby's been coming off the bench and doing a pretty good job as a pinch hitter. And he knows that with the number of right-handers the Pirates have faced recently, he was going to be coming off the bench. Garrett Jones, a left-handed bat, sitting this one out tonight. Sanchez fouls it off, 2-2. I'm talking to Gabby the other day in the clubhouse. He was looking forward to this one because he knew he'd be starting against the lefty.
Yep.
Just one of those things. It's a long season. You want to play every single night, but there are a number of interchangeable parts in this Pirate lineup, depending on who's throwing the baseball. 2-2. He has gone 2 for 2 with 3 runs batted in the last 2 games he's appeared in. Hits this one well to left field, but it's going to hang up. And Justin Upton under it for out number 1.
I like to get to the umpires as early as we can, because the home plate umpire sets a tone for both of these starting pitchers. Chris Conroy working the plate, and the crew chief Sam Holbrook over at third base. And we say it all the time, the pitchers have to learn the strike zone of the home plate umpire, not the other way around. And Mulholland depends on finding that out early for what he can do with that sinker down and away to the right-hand batters. That gets a good bit of the plate, but he'll turn that ball over and run that ball out away toward the first base dugout, get the guys to chase, and he's got to find out if he's going to get those calls from whoever's working the plate in blue.
Russell Martin takes strike 2. Martin at third base tonight. He's got a 4-game hitting streak. He is 6 for his last 14. His first home run of the season Thursday night. 0-2 pitch. That one is to Francisco at third. And Martin is out, 2 gone for the Pirates in their half of the second inning. Make sure to join us Friday, May 31st for the second annual Allergy Awareness Night at PNC Park, sponsored by Milan Specialty LP. Enjoy a safe night out in a peanut-controlled section. Tickets are $20 with $10 loaded value on each ticket. Good for food and beverage. For tickets, visit pirates.com/allergy awareness. So if you have a peanut awareness, and peanuts and popcorn sold at ballparks, it's kind of a tough time to go. People who are unfortunate and have that peanut allergy. But going to have a
so no peanuts in that section.
No. Nice comfortable night. 0-1 to Neil Walker. Well, there's
that's just not right.
That's Pooh Bear right there.
Winnie the Pooh doesn't know what to do.
It's got to be really cold over there for Bob to put that on.
If you can get a honey jar stuck on his nose, now you got the whole deal going.
Bob just came out of the 100-acre wood.
Yep.
There's Christopher Robin.
Outfit.
One ball and 2 strikes. Neil went 2 for 3. Got his first triple of the season last night. I think Bob's just a trendsetter with his headwear.
I think he is. He's setting the tone for sure.
Mahomes 1-2 is chased by Walker, and the Pirates are gone in order in the second. Mahomes, still the only pitcher in baseball who has yet to give up a run.
We saw a spectacular pitching performance all around by the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it was also a rare feat that they accomplished last night, facing 27 batters in a 9-inning, non-perfect game situation. In fact, it's the third time in Pirates history we've seen it, and since 1921, just 56 Major League games have been like last night, where a team does not get a perfect game and face a minimum amount of batters. Now, mind you, these are regular season stats. There have been 18 perfect games in the Major League since 1921, but a lot of credit goes to Wandy Rodriguez and Russell Martin, Tim. Before the ball game today, just talked about Wandy and the way he was able to work the plate both sides. And Clint Hurdle put it even a little bit better and said that was a statement by Wandy Rodriguez with the way he pitched last night. Mark Melanson added that he thought it was cool, and he woke up this morning and said, I'm surprised more people aren't paying attention to what they did last night. I think a lot of us might be.
Yeah. So rare. That is unbelievably rare. It's just this side of a no-hitter, really.
The last
spectacular.
The last time in 1982, John Candelaria was the starting pitcher, and it was also against the Atlanta Braves.
4-hit shutout, 3 double plays, and a caught stealing. And I didn't know also 1966.
July 1st.
I would have had a chance to watch that. Let me assure you, it wasn't me pitching.
You would have remembered.
Yeah.
Your memory's pretty good about those things.
Oh yeah. Wandy Rodriguez was spectacular. I mean, it was a clinic. It was absolutely brilliant. I don't know if he broke a sweat. He was just in a rocking chair. And I thought I did a very good job of holding my tongue when he didn't come out for the 8th. I've learned my lesson.
This one's rip foul. I asked Clint Hurdle about that today. Did he consider having Wandy come out for the 8th because his spot in the batting order would have come up first in the bottom of the 8th inning? He said no, absolutely not. It was going to be 7 innings, and the hamstring had to get heated up, he said, during the game. So sometime during the inning breaks, I wanted he still had to take heat on the hamstring, so not wanting to push it too much farther. That was what the skipper told me this afternoon.
Well, I've learned my lesson. Too many times I've said something and gone off about that, and I go down in the dugout or in the coach's office or the manager's office, and I'll get the reasoning. So, yeah, he's the manager. There's more going on in the dugout than I'm aware of. I know that.
Sanchez will record the out. That's the first out for the Braves. That is not a strikeout. On the next Sunday Night Classics, WVU's Jared West sinks a buzzer beater in the '98 NCAA tournament to defeat Cincinnati and send the Mountaineers to the Sweet 16. Hear the story retold by Bob Huggins, Jared West, Brent Solheim, and Tony Caridi while you relive this bracket-busting classic. Sunday Night Classics, Boise buzzer beater tomorrow at 8 on Root Sports. A couple of hats to match the one that Bob's got on tonight over in radio. Justin Upton. He struck out swinging in the first time.
By the way, just to finish that up, I held my tongue, but I did go a little crazy on the post-game radio show. I was just rooting for Wandy, and so much because he was just doing an unbelievable job. I would love to see him do the whole thing, but that's a good bit of the part of the past anymore. But I've never seen as effortless as 7 shutout innings as Wandy Rodriguez had last night. I mean, he was just perfect example that you don't have to throw 150 miles an hour to put on a clinic.
Well, you know, and as times have changed, I mean, there's fewer and fewer complete games. There still are complete games out there
yes,
to be had, but
yes, there's
just fewer and fewer of them than there used to be, obviously, back when you were pitching, because your goal was to pitch 9 innings. Some of these guys today, their goal is to pitch 6 and 7. And Upton walks.
They've been trained that way, too. It's not all their fault. They've been trained and developed that way. And
that's why you have bullpens. You can use them.
Well, we had them, too. We had bullpens, too. I will defend going 9 innings till the day I die. But I know times have changed, so don't get me going. It's all right. But it was fun to watch last night.
Well,
really
let's
fun
see
to watch.
Somebody this year is going to go 9. Maybe a few guys will do it.
Well, it's happening around the major leagues.
Evan Gattis, the batter, with 1 on and 1 out. Atlanta with a 1-0 lead. Strike 1 to Gattis.
That's a court gesture right there.
Some nice headwear around the ballpark today. And now just As a point of, as an editorial, last night you and I were offered the Winnie the Pooh hat, and there's another one over there. It's Elmo hat from Sesame Street, but we decided we were going to be professionals last night and not wear them.
Best interest of professionalism. Yep.
Because we're very serious up here doing a major league game, so I did not want to be a distraction.
Yep, hope it gets warm soon so I can take my Elmer Fudd hat home from my locker over there. The fluorescent hunting cap.
1-1 to Evan Gattis.
What do we got for James in the third? Good start with the ground ball, but then the free pass. He's not going to throw the pitch. Well, this is a good time maybe to address that subject too, because against the stolen base, only 9 attempts so far in the first 16 games. I got to believe that's less certainly than last year, especially toward the end of the year when everybody's running. And just one against Michael McHenry because he's not been catching much.
And the throw over, and that's a pretty close play, but Upton got his hand back in. One and one, the count to Gattis. Cat and mouse between Upton and McDonald this inning. 2 balls and a strike.
You don't want to get distracted either. You know, that play at first base, Gabby Sanchez over there too. He really doesn't know what's happening with the runner as he takes the ball from the pitcher. So it's just a swipe tag and hope you're getting it the right place. And you want to be close to the base because obviously the guy has to come to the base with either the hand or the foot or whatever. You hope to get lucky with the tag application.
Pops it up. Shallow center. Here comes McCutcheon.
It's a major league pop-up.
And the Gold Glover's got it. 2 men out for the Braves in the top of the third.
Well, big power guys hit those high towering pop flies. They have that big swing, and you know, they hit the ball a long way. Sometimes they hit it a long way straight up in the air.
J-Max at 51 pitches, and he's in the top of the third inning. Cruising on the Allegheny tonight. Definitely jacket weather.
Wandy wound up with 82 pitches in 7 innings.
Chris Johnson takes a strike. Johnson put it in the notch in left center field up by the 410 side. Marte caught up to it. Ball went off the end of his glove. Johnson got a double, his 75th career double. Parma's behind the bag. The flip to Walker. They go the short way to get the force out. Nothing across for the Braves. We'll head to the bottom of the third inning. 1-0 Atlanta.
to be better. And by Day Automotive. We're going to make your day. Let's go Bucks!
It's a 1-0 Braves lead. Bottom of the third inning. Michael McHenry will lead off against Paul Mulholland. All cruising through the first 2 innings with 1 strikeout, helped out by a double play. And McHenry belts it to left field, but right at Upton. 1 pitch and 1 out in the Pirates' third. Well, the Parrot,
you got to give him props here.
He tries to get it up here, but you know what? That's the closest he's come in just a while. It hit the facade just over our heads.
I was right there with it.
Yeah, that's about as close as he's come in years.
Yep. Really good job. He's trying. He's trying, but he's a Parrot, and he's green.
Yeah, he's dressed up as McCluckin tonight. That's his Andrew McCutcheon outfit.
Andrew being honored. That kind of thing. See, Silver Slugger, Player's Choice, bobblehead awards. You got the silver bat on the bobblehead, down to detail.
Our Day Automotive key matchup of the day. And Barmas has had a lot of success against Mulholland. 15 out of 34, 6 extra base hits, 2 home runs. And he grounds it to Andrelton Simmons, who throws him out 2 down.
And what you have to be careful with a guy like Paul Mulholland, a guy that doesn't throw hard, throwing a lot of strikes, throwing it where he wants to. He gets you in a routine and it kind of lulls you to sleep. You look up and it's the 7th inning and you haven't done much. You can get on that roll.
Just 28 pitches for Mulholland.
That's nothing compared to Wandy last night.
21 of those 28 strikes. And you're right. I mean, nothing compared to Mulholland. I mean, nothing compared to Wandy last night.
He just moved the ball in the strike zone without getting in the hitting zone. See, there's a hitting zone within the strike zone, but he kept out of that zone. It's a zone within a zone.
Well, it took Paul Mulholland just 6 pitches to retire the Pirates in the 3rd inning.
The world have been focused on Boston since the tragic events that took place Monday at the Boston Marathon and the pursuit, obviously, last night of the suspect. The crowd at the TD Garden sang the national anthem as they had done several nights before, perhaps even a few decibels louder as the Bruins hosted the Penguins. And at Fenway Park, the Red Sox hosting the Royals, first responders were honored. David Ortiz among those who spoke to the crowd as part of a 20-minute pregame ceremony. Tim and Steve, quite a powerful day in Beantown.
And the Red Sox actually changed their uniforms today. Instead of saying Red Sox across the front of their home whites, they put the city name instead, Boston.
Boston strong. Yep. And our thoughts continue to go in that direction.
Folks showing showing their support in different ways here tonight.
Yep, so many people in Boston, obviously, but a lot of people that grew up or had ties there, very much involved in that.
So Dan Uggla will start the top of the 4th inning with a swinging strike. Donald has 6 strikeouts already. Gave up the 1 run in the 2nd inning where he really got himself in trouble, hitting Evan Gattis with a pitch and giving up a deep double, walking the bases loaded when he walked Uggla. There's a strike, 0-2. And considering the bases were loaded and nobody out, and he gave up just 1 run, that was getting off the hook cheap. So 0-2. It's up high. Uggla ducking out of the way. Braves and Buccos wrap up this 4-game set tomorrow afternoon. Chris Medlin, a right-hander for the Atlanta Braves, and Jonathan Sanchez, Pirates lefty, goes. 1-2. And the Bucs out on the road for 10 days. Philadelphia, St. Louis, and Milwaukee. And then the month of April's done.
Well, it must be going to be good weather then. The Bucs are leaving town.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Every time the Bucs go away, the weather gets better.
Last time.
Slowly hit grounded to short. Barnes with a leaping throw gets Uggla. 1 man out. You can tweet the booth at Root Sports Pit, #Bucks Booth. You can send us all of your Pirates questions and comments and observations, and guys in the truck will take a look at them. We've got them up here in the booth as well, and Steve has been just pouring over the tweets coming in here tonight.
Yep, got a pretty good handle on them.
Yep. Still a couple of belated birthday wishes that have come in for you.
The gifts have been a little bit delayed, but the well-wishing folks, that's appreciated.
I saw some cupcakes around here. You got some cupcakes?
I did. Yep. The Waleskis sent them update. Sent up a lot of goodies. It's appreciated. Our friends down the right field line, Rose and her husband.
Juan Francisco 0 for 1. He's got a 1-1 count on him.
I hadn't intended to share them, but it seemed to happen while I was downstairs. Good curveball again.
Well, everybody was waiting for you to leave.
Yeah. Happens a lot.
They knew that if they asked what the answer would be if you were here, so they waited for you to leave and then took liberties with your cupcakes. One-two to Francisco. And J-Mac gets strikeout number 7.
You got a fastball strikeout here? Alert the media.
Changed it up.
He has been effective with that fastball upstairs. A lot of swings and misses. It's been very valuable helping set up that curveball downstairs for all the other strikeouts.
2 gone. Nobody on, and Anderson Simmons stood up and he takes a strike.
Now that's that curveball that starts off the inside corner and will come back in and pick up the inside corner. That's not by intent. Usually you want your breaking balls to right-hand batters be out away.
One to Simmons.
That curveball that he threw for the first pitch is the one you want 2 strikes to a lefty, because the lefty will give up on it thinking it's going to stay outside.
This one's popped up right to Gabby Sanchez, who'll handle it. It's a good inning for J-Mac as he gets a strikeout and retires the Braves in order. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th. Braves 1, Pirates nothing. league leaders stat. National League leaders in whip, walks and hits per innings pitched. Wandy Rodriguez right at the top of the list now after last night's performance. And Matt Harvey, who outdueled Steven Strasburg of the Nationals yesterday. Harvey with 4 wins. And there's Paul Maholm. He's 4th on the list at 079. Barrel Automotive, we're driven to be better.
And another thing about Paul Maholm, in his first 3 starts, 5 free passes. So the control has been excellent. He, like Wandy, just filling up the zone with strikes. New second baseman. Uggla's gone. Romero Pena takes over.
Trying to get some update on why Dan Uggla has left the game early. Romero Pena, he is a switch hitter, came in late as part of a double switch in last night's game. So Pena in at second base now for the Atlanta Braves. Starling Marte hit by a pitch first time up. Well, if you're a manager and you've got a young player like Marte, strikes out 5 times in the game, what do you tell him? Kent said he didn't tell him anything after the game, but the next day when he came in, which was yesterday, he reminded him that he also had done that in the big league, struck out 5 times, and he said, but you're striking out 5 times in the big leagues. It's not like you're striking out 5 times somewhere else.
It's a pretty good spin on it, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got a. Well, Clint has a gift in that regard.
Wow, how about that? Maybe 61 miles an hour. That's the old dead fish right there. I used to call it the slop drop, dead fish.
Well, 61 is slow. I mean, I think the slowest we saw him when he was a Pirate was about 66, 65.
That's a gravity curveball. The further it goes, the more it goes down just by gravity.
1-2 pitch. And this one's fouled off. I was told by one of the Braves broadcasters earlier today that he's had it as low as 58 miles an hour this season. 58. I mean, you may as well put a stamp on the ball that says, go ahead, try to hit me.
A lot of separation there. And Marte's got to realize 5 strikeouts. Yeah, hey, part of the dance. That's going to happen.
And this is a drop third strike. Gaddis throws down.
He still hasn't put the ball in play.
One man is out. Tabata coming to the plate. MLB.TV celebrating 11 years. Join the millions of fans and subscribe today. Watch every out-of-market game live online on your favorite mobile and connected devices in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. Visit MLB.TV today. MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. And it is baseball everywhere, literally.
You know, going back to Marte, too, we're in an era where everybody makes judgments instantly. Marte got off to a good start. Oh, he's going to be the next Clemente. He's going to do this, he's going to do that. He is a very, very young major leaguer. Easy ground ball to short for the second out. And Marte, even the play in left center field. Now, as he's around more, he'll finish that play off. He'll make that catch. He'll have better at bats. I mean, it's part of growing up in the big leagues. He's literally a baby in the big league, so he's going to have those kind of nights.
Andrew McCutchen, his parents are here from Florida, his sister's here, ran into them earlier, and Neil Walker presenting the award, the MLB Players Association Players' Choice for Outstanding National League Player Award in 2012. And it's also Andrew McCutchen bobblehead night tonight. First of 2 bobbleheads the Pirates will give out. A.J. Burnett the other. That's later in the season.
Laid off that outside sinking fastball.
McCutchen drills it to center field. Upton's going to watch it go off the wall. And Andrew McCutchen burns into second base with a 2-out double.
Well, we were talking about this last night. B.J. Upton plays as shallow a center fielder as anybody. And he can go back and get the ball. Now, he's going to get burned every once in a while, and he just got burned there. But the percentage of the time, he's going to run a lot of shots over his head, and he's going to run them down and make the catch. Andrew just put too much of a charge into this ball. The ball had a lot of carry on it. And B.J. Upton knows that. He's a very good center fielder. No, see, I love watching him run, especially when he just turns on the jets. It's like a vapor trail going around the bases.
Gabby Sanchez RBI chance here against Mulholland again. Remember, Mulholland has not given up a run this season. He's the only pitcher remaining in Major League Baseball to not have given up a run.
Yep. Well, that makes him the best pitcher in the game.
Right now he is.
Again, discipline, laying off that teaser on the outside corner. That's shades of Tom Glavine, by the way.
And just to clarify, starting pitchers. I mean, there are relief pitchers out there who pitch 1-2 innings. But as a starter, the only starter in the big leagues, hasn't given up a run, but McCutchen could change that. There he goes for third base. Gabby takes, and McCutchen goes in standing with his 6th stolen base of the year.
Yeah, you don't gain a lot. You know, we all know that there's wild pitches and errors where you can score. So if they're going to give it to you, and right there, he sees the second baseman give ground. The minute he sees that, he knows he's got a shot if he wants to take it. You got to be sure, and he was very sure. What you want to do, get this run in, get even with Mulholland, because he can get on a roll. He's on kind of a roll now for that double, where he's just getting real comfortable outs. So get this one in.
And Sanchez in the air to right center. B.J. Upton has a beat on. And the Pirates will leave a man at third base. No runs, a hit, a man left. On to the 5th. 1-0 Braves. The contest is designed to increase breast cancer awareness while raising funds to support breast cancer research. All men and women 18 and older are encouraged to submit stories about how they or someone they know are going to bat against breast cancer. For more information, go to honorarybatgirl.com by Monday, April 22nd to share your story and to nominate a Pirates honorary Batgirl. And we'll head into the seats for a foul ball and a strike. 0-2 to Paul Mulholland. Russell Martin giving a chase. Remember, Russell wanted to play in the field in the World Baseball Classic. There was a lot of talk.
He wanted to play short.
He wanted to play short. Told me he hadn't played short since he was a teenager in a real game. But here he is playing pretty close to short in a real game. And there is strikeout number 8 for McDonald.
Perhaps another curveball. It was something that was never going to be hittable out of the strike zone. But rack it up, number 8. And as Paul Mulholland, as a pitcher, you can never argue with the umpire about whether you went around or not. The umpire needs to be your friend all night long.
B.J. Upton has struck out twice, once looking and once swinging. Strike 1 on him.
Got thrown out last night, and I didn't think he would have gotten thrown out if there wasn't a little gesture from the umpire. So it did escalate both ways. He was arguing the call, and then Sam Holbrook gave him the kind of dismissal, the hand wave, and that's when it got escalated.
Drilled to left field. Marte to the wall, and he makes the catch. Starling Marte taking one away.
Yep, and the ball had a lot of height, so Starling could get back there and find out where he was on the track, how near he was to the wall. So he's measuring where he is now. He's got a beat. He's locked in. And, yep, reach up and take it away from that young man. That's the gift of height when you're in that kind of situation. If they hit a line drive, you don't have as much time. You can botch it up. But J-Mac certainly happy about that one. That really had a chance, and it was out of here if he doesn't catch it. He's going to reach up over the fence. The young man's got a bead on it. Well, he doesn't have a bead on it. He's got the glove there.
Keep your eyes open there, little guy. He closed his eyes tight when he saw how close that ball was getting. He's a little disappointed.
James gets a mulligan.
So how'd that guy take that ball away from me?
Yeah.
Brought my glove for a reason.
It's a big left field here at PNC Park.
The reaction on the other side by B.J. Upton.
Yep, still got it. Overthrowing on the fastball from James there, but he's got 2 outs here in the top of the 5th inning.
And Hayward walks with 2 down.
It's walk number 4.
Wow. Getting hungry, Steve?
Always.
Not a bad place to wait in line.
Cold nights, you need fuel.
Get one of those Angus burgers at that stand. 2 outs, just a 1-0 lead at this point. Paul Maholm's been dealing. J-Mac had a blemish in the 2nd inning. He has struck out 8 through the first 4 2/3 innings.
Hayward has 1 stolen base.
And up front is Justin Upton.
Boy, McDonald has really thrown some nice curveballs tonight and some good live fastballs. It's just consistent. He's struck out 8, walked 4. But he has kept the Pirates in this ball game.
Nothing in 2 to Justin Upton.
Good hook on the first pitch delivered. Thank you, sir. May I have another? So they gave him another one. Now it's 0-2.
One on, 2 out. Hayward the runner at first base. James McDonald ready for the 0-2. Gets the sign from McHenry. Almost got him reaching.
Another breaking ball. Well, he's throwing him 3 off-speed pitches. Can he come upstairs with that good live fastball again? Let's see what Michael McHenry shows us behind the plate.
There it comes. Number 1. I'll go to first instead.
Here's the flip over to first.
A lot of curveballs tonight in 79 pitches. 52% fastballs. 48% of his pitches tonight, a bit of the off-speed variety. Right field, Tabata backing up. And he makes the leaping catch. Pretty good catch by Tabata, but Starling Marte has had the catch of the game so far, robbing B.J. Upton of a home run. 1-0 Braves. team with a hit apiece, but the Braves with a run. That's the difference so far as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Get ready for another Bucks and Pucks night Monday when the Pens and Pirates play at the same time. You can see the Penguins battle the Senators starting at 7 o'clock on our main channel, and a special Root Sports production of your Pirates against the Phillies at 7 o'clock on MLB Network. Visit rootsports.com for a channel lineup and more information. Holland deals ball 1 to Russell Martin.
Wait a minute.
A horse is a horse, of course.
Is that the horse that wound up in that producer's bed in the Godfather movie? They cut his head off?
If so, they reattached it. Two and one now to Martin.
Well, here we go. Now it's time to get at least 1 point. Get even with Paul Maholm. Don't let this get down into the 7th inning. So do some damage here. Get on the board. Somebody get on the board against Paul.
Yeah.
Nobody has yet.
So the Evgeny Malkin sweater there. It's with Bucks and Pucks today too. The Penguins winning again 3-2 over the Bruins.
They win all the time. That is one strong hockey team.
They're like the old Soviet Red Army team right now, the way they are chugging along. The Bruins on the wrong end of a 3-2 score as far as they're concerned, but the Penguins keep on rolling. It's amazing. Three and two. Paul Maholm spent 7 years as a Pirate. Filed a 53 and 55 record with Pittsburgh. Former first-round draft choice in 2003. He was the 8th overall pick out of Mississippi State. And a walk to Russell Martin and the Pirates with a leadoff man aboard.
Dead men tell no tales. Santa.
Is he borrowing your outfit again, Steve?
That guy's a man for all seasons. He's good to go for the black and gold.
Santa is a Pirates fan.
Yep,
in case you didn't know.
You get him spray painted for the latter part of November. He's ready for Christmas.
Walker with a nice looking bunt. And Walker safe at first base. Pena never touched the bag. And the Pirates now with something going, setting up shop first and second, nobody out.
That was absolutely a perfecta. A perfecta. This ball's deadened. He's on the run. And Pena gets over there a little bit late. And that caught everybody off guard. And you can't drop it down any better than that. You cannot do it any better than that. Also Martin liking it. Liking being at second base with nobody out. And now Maholm heading in the same direction that James McDonald did in the 2nd inning as the Pirates get something going down toward the bottom of their batting order. And the 4th.
Michael McKenna with 2 home runs on the season. 333 average.
The Braves not expecting any bunt here with the Pirates down at the bottom of the batting order. Well, again, Barmas has those good numbers against Maholm.
0-2 to McHenry. McHenry had 2 home runs against Cincinnati in a come from behind win on Sunday. Pirates were down in that game, and McHenry's offense, along with Starling Marte, who also hit a home run in that one, helped to win it. Most exciting comeback of the young season. 0-2. That one's outside.
Good discipline there. Paul trying to get him, teasing him out there, try to get that rollover ground ball to third. If Michael would try to pull it. You almost got to expect at some point you're going to get that fastball on the outer side of the plate. And if you do, try to go with it. Again, it's on. Well, Paul was like this before he went to Atlanta. But remember when you used to see Tom Glavine? He would massage that outside part of the plate to right-hand batters, and he would test the umpire too. He'd throw it on the corner, and if he got a call, then he'd move it out an inch and see if he still get the call. And as long as they kept calling, he kept moving out.
Moving it out, yeah.
Yep. And that's a smart pitcher. Yeah, he did.
Oh, my. McHenry doesn't agree. And he's rung up by Paul Nart, the first base umpire. Let's
From the
see.
side.
Very close.
Yeah, and he's trying to get the hands out in front to leave the bat back so he doesn't commit that wrist turnover. He accomplished that, but they said even though he was kind of stiff-wristed, he still went out far enough.
So Clint Barmas at the plate. He's 0 for 1. He's got 799 career hits. Still looking for that 800. He has had good success against Mulholland in his career. Could use some right here. Grounded out to short his first time up.
I think the burning question is this the same Mulholland that we saw for a long time? He's not pitching like that.
441 batting average coming into the game tonight against Mulholland. 15 out of 34, and fouls this one off, and it's quickly 0-2.
This is what Wandy did last night. You know, in that old theory, you know, you don't swing at the first pitch. Well, against guys like Paul Mulholland and Wandy last night, if you don't swing at the first pitch, you're going to be behind 0-1, and that puts you in the hole. So if you see something you like on the first pitch, you got to take a whack at it, because these guys know what they're doing. They get on these rolls.
0-2 pitch to Barmas. Will wait as Mulholland turns and looks at Martin at second base.
That's just to let him know he's aware of him. He hadn't forgotten him.
We're talking about Mulholland being a smart pitcher. He's learned it over time. This is his 221st career appearance, 220th start, and his 15th start for the Braves. Remember, he came over at the deadline as a member of the Cubs last year. Cubs and Braves were dealing players at the end of July last season. And Mulholland in the mix. Down to third base, and that is a foul ball.
And Paul has that kind of tight, quick delivery. When he comes from the set, it's a quick move. It's a quick break of the hands and a quick move in. And so it might fool you into thinking you got to, because he's quick, you've got to be quick. And if you fall into that trap, you're going to start your swing early, and you're out in front again. He's quick from the set position. Quick release. So if he's quick and pulls the string, he'll be in trouble. Now people are booing in here, but they're booing Paul, but he's doing the right thing. He's got to just keep Martin as tight as he can at second base in case of a base hit. That stuff he's doing might hold him at third.
Barmas down on strikes, chased a pitch that was out of the zone. And Barmas having some struggles right now. This will bring up James McDonald. So the Pirates at first and second, nobody out. McHenry rung up on a check swing. Barmas now chases a pitch. And 2 strikeouts in a row from Mulholland. Now he'll face McDonald. And James can help his own cause here, but it's going to be tough.
It is tough because here's a guy that's not giving up any runs. He is really on his game.
McDonald's got 1 base hit, and that came on a wheel play. Recognized the wheel play, pulled the bat back, and took a full swing and drove it up the middle. One of his early starts. And Mulholland in front, 0-2.
I'm looking at a pitcher who is really, really on his game right now. Now Paul trying to air it out and get that velocity up there. Impress the gun people. Measuring the speed.
So the 1-2 on the way. And that's called strike 3. And the Pirates have 2 on and nobody out and waste an opportunity in the 5th. Paul Mulholland mowed them down 1-0. Bravos. Michael McHenry behind the plate. Pirates trailing 1-0. This tweet comes in, and why is the Fort McHenry wearing fingernail polish? Robbie, I know you got the answer.
I do have the answer to that. That is because in the beginning of the game, there's a lot of shadows coming from center field, and it's hard for the pitcher sometimes to see what signs they're throwing down, and especially when McHenry is in a tight crouch. So for James McDonald to be have an easier ability to identify what signal is going down, Michael McHenry paints his toenails, and I think they're snap-on nails. Jeff Bannister was saying before the game, bench coach, that they used to wear whiteout back in his day when he played, but now they're up to press-on nails. That's the reason why. Fingernails, excuse me, I meant to say fingernails, not toenails.
Yeah, I think a very stylish tone, by the way. Yeah. Things have gotten better. Manny Sanguine used to put tape around his fingers. Yeah. So they went from tape to whiteout, and now stylish, like a high pink.
Some of those are just stickers, like you just peel off the back and put them on there.
Yeah, no, I saw Michael at a grocery store today. They're for real. He wears them all the time.
He does, huh? On his toes, too?
Not really.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Evan Gattis.
Sangy had the tape, and he would tell Nelson Bryce, he said, "Oh, Nelly, you know, you don't need to have no signals for me because I don't need to know what's coming. I catch you with my bare hands. Whatever you want to throw, you go ahead."
Gattis pops it up. Clint Barmas underneath it. 1 out for it.
Pretty impressive, wouldn't you say, when Paul Maholm got in a jam, all he does is strike out the side.
Yeah, that was some good pitching.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter whether it's 7, 8, or 9 or not. He found a way to just get right out of that jam, out of that jam that was emerging.
Chris Johnson hit a double in the north side notch. His first time up, reached on fielder's choice.
And that's part of the story, too. That ball, Marte will tell you he should have caught that ball. And that's the only hit that James has given up. We've got a whole lot of pitching going on here.
1 ball, 1 strike. The Atlanta run came in the second. Evan Gattis was hit by a pitch on his left arm. Johnson had the double, so second and third. Then Ugla walked. Ground ball toward the middle. Walker knocks it down. It's a base hit. The second hit. As Johnson is aboard. His second multi-hit effort during the course of this series. Easiest way to make sure you get tickets to all your favorite matchups and promotional games is with the Pirates 10-game ticket plan. You can choose from 3 pre-selected plans. Enjoy the year-long benefits, including early access to PNC Park, ticket exchange privileges, bonus games. Get your 10-game plan. Call 1-800-BUY-BUCKS, or you can also visit Pirates.com. 10-game plans make great gifts at Christmas, too. Ramiro Pena, his first at bat. Word on Dan Ugla, he left the game due to a left calf strain. So Pena came in to replace him, and now the switch hitter bats left-handed, facing McDonald for the first time. Pena hitting .348 in the early part of the year.
By the way, to get back to that stolen base information, we were told that after 16 games there had been 13 attempts last year, 11 of which were successful. So they're successful 7 out of 9 so far this year. So it really just got a lot of traction and took off after the early games last year when we weren't throwing anybody out. It just escalated. But that's how it started last year, and this is the comparison. Martin has thrown out 2 of 8, and Michael McHenry is just 0 for 1. A lot of work put in to hopefully make it better than it was last year.
Ball and a strike to Pena.
We got activity in the Pirate bullpen as that pitch count it's got to be near 100 now for James. 90.
Justin Wilson ready to go. Or getting ready. He and Jared Hughes both unavailable for last night's game. Runner goes. This one hit to third. Knocked down by Martin. He goes to first base to pick him up. Russell Martin with his first chance defensively at third base. And he records the out. 2 men out. Johnson saved at second.
So Freddie Gonzalez sent the runner at the correct time and had a chance to be double play.
Well, just like blocking a ball in the dirt. Behind the plate for Russell Martin. th time in the big leagues that he has played third base. Ken Hurdle said the other day when asked the question, would you consider starting Russell Martin? He said yes, absolutely. And tonight's the night. He starts him at third base. And Francisco takes a strike. He has struck out twice, both times swinging, once in the second inning and once in the fourth. One run on 2 hits for Atlanta, no runs on 2 hits for the Pirates. A tightly contested ball game here tonight. McDonald having a good outing except for the run he walked in the second inning. Other than that, he's been very good. Paul Maholm's been excellent tonight for Atlanta. Off to the best start in his career to start a season, 3-0. And there goes Francisco down on strikes for the 3rd time tonight. Braves strand a runner. Mississippi State Bulldogs in the SEC, then making his way after being drafted by the Pirates to the Altoona Curve. And a tweet comes in. Did anything change with Paul Maholm from his time in Pittsburgh to now? Goes from reliable to one of the league's best.
Well, right now he is the major league's best. And the only difference I can really see, he's changing speeds more definitively. I mean, there's more of a separation. And it's strike one. I mean, he's just throwing with a lot of confidence. And he's not only throwing strikes, he's throwing very good strikes. He's like Wandy was last night. He's steadying away from the hitting zone part of the strike zone. Changing speeds, and he's confident throwing strikes with all his pitches. So, maybe he's some guys mature late. I mean, he's just on a roll now. He's out there with a great deal of confidence. He's doing what he wants to do with the baseball.
0-2 to Marte.
He's throwing what he wants, where he wants.
Well, Marte in his brief career against left-handed pitching, hitting .356. This season, .328, off to a hot start. Had a 10-game hitting streak. Well, that was snapped 2 games ago. Trying to start another streak tonight.
And you know,
0 for 1.
Going back to Mahal, I'll just get in that phrase again, and it's hard to describe. He gets it now. Okay, I know what it works. I've been here 7 or 8 years, but now, all right, this is gonna be what it takes. Sometimes it just comes to you. But he is changing speeds a lot better, and he's throwing a lot of strikes, and he's throwing all his pitches for strikes.
There's a Tabata on deck.
Maybe just going to Atlanta, but he was pitching lights out with the Cubs before that.
Yep.
That player movement.
And he's walked Marte. Second time Marte has been given a free pass. First time he was hit by a pitch. This time he walks. So the leadoff man is aboard. Tabata will try to get him into scoring position. Good crowd tonight on this Saturday night at PNC Park. Hopefully everybody's dressed warmly.
I'm guessing well over 25,000. And again, I've been preaching it since the second inning. You fall behind Paul Mahal the way he's pitching right now. Get yourself even, and then take your chances. Get one run. All it takes is one run to get even right now.
Tabata waiting for the pitch from Mahal. There goes Marte. The bunt is down. Francisco fields, and he's got Tabata at first, but the Pirates, with one out, now have a man in scoring position, and Andrew McCutchen coming up.
And it will be interesting to see how they pitch against Andrew. Well done. Just deadens it on the grass. Forces them to make a decent play to first base because the bunt was so perfect.
I thought he was at the plate. It's a nice likeness of him. Fouls this one off to the right. McCutchen doubled to center field off the base of the wall in the fourth inning. And he's also flied out. So 1 for 2 with a double. His 7th double of the year.
Let's see how many home runs Paul's given up so far this year.
It'll be done.
Yeah. This will be a good place for the first one.
Well, the Pirates have the tying run at second. And McCutchen goes to right field and deep. This one's going back, and this one is off the top of the wall. Around third is Marte. He scores. McCutchen with another double, and the Pirates have tied the game. And they have scored the first run off of Paul Mahalo in the 2013 season.
Well, somebody was going to do it, and who else to do it but Andrew McCutchen? On his night, this is Andrew's night. Upstairs, it's a chance to extend those hands, those arms. The short porch and right can work for right-hand batters too. So the walk hurts Mr. Mahalo.
Now Gabby Sanchez with the go-ahead run at second base, facing Mahalo.
And they're playing right up and back of Andrew. You know, he stole third base. They're going to make sure he doesn't do that. Now that there's a one-out situation.
McCutchen now with 12 RBIs to lead the club. Sanchez with 5 of them. 160 average.
Now you've gotten even. Anything's possible, but that just critical.
Ball and 1 strike. Starling Marte, the leadoff walk, pays off for the Pirates. Took advantage of it. Touching second double, drove him in. So a 1-1 game now. Sanchez fouls this one off to the right.
What's kind of interesting if you study pitching, a guy that doesn't throw over 90 miles an hour is getting a lot of right-handers to be late on swings down the right field line. That means he's throwing the fastball when they're not expecting it. So it's a late attempt. It's fouled off. So you don't have to be overpowering to get those kind of foul balls.
Sanchez hits this one to center field and deep. Upton going back. Still going back. It's gone! A home run for Gabby Sanchez. And the Pirates lead it 3-1.
How about jump-starting a big crowd on a Saturday night? Straightaway center field, a lot of carry, a lot of power, and now a Pirate lead.
Dead center into the shrubbery. Gabby Sanchez comes up with home run number 1.
Upstairs in that zone, a lot of carry. Beautiful thing.
Clint Barma saying wow to Gabby Sanchez. Gabby, an all-star in the National League in 2011. He was with the Marlins. And Holland knew it pretty early on. Already looking for a new baseball. 1-2 pitch coming to Martin.
You know, we talked about the Pirate offense in the last 11 games where they've gone 7-3. No. How can you go 7-3 in the last 11 games? Anyway, they've been hitting the ball a lot.
Over the last 11 days, there's
11 days.
10 games in 11 days. You got it right.
Yeah. Well, I had the days wrong. But point being, they've had hot bats, and who gets to do the breakthrough against Paul Maholm? And you knew it was going to happen.
To the bushes from Sammy Brookover. 3-2 pitch to Russell Martin from Paul Maholm. We'll get another one.
Yeah, usually the conventional wisdom is that when it's cold, that's the advantage. The pitchers like it because you can get on the hands, quote unquote, and all that. But I'll tell you, the ball's been flying. That ball flew. What about the home runs last night? Flying all over the place. Ouch.
Yeah, in game 1 there were 6 home runs, 4 for Atlanta, 2 for the Pirates. Not the instep.
And that hurts whether it's cold or hot. The breakthrough in the 6th.
3-2 is in the dirt. Another walk.
So a struggling 6th inning as somebody in the major league breaks through against Maholm, and they'll come out and have a chat as they get busy in the bullpen. Saw Guerin last night.
Corey Guerin.
Now I get Neil Walker. What a perfect bunt Neil put down last time up. Just a perfect little push bunt. Right into no man's land. Beat it out.
A 2-run home run by Gabby Sanchez. An RBI double by Andrew McCutchen this inning. And the Pirates have gotten a 0 off the board, leading 3-1. 1 out, 1 on. And so Martin wants to do a little gardening out by first base. Just to clear the track in case he's going to run.
I was going to say, now that's not an automatic indication he's going to take off. I wouldn't go that far.
No. Throw to first. And Paul, just in case, decided to throw over.
But you know, the interesting thing is you're kind of in the bonus round here in the 6th inning. So, you know, it would be a nice kind of a surprise move if they decide to go in that direction. It seems like a lot of damage, but it's just 3 runs. But now, you know, the funny thing is now the Pirates pick up a 3 spot in the 6th. Makes James McDonald look a lot better too, doesn't it? He was trailing 1-0. Now he's pitching a real fine game. Then he's up 3-1. The whole psychological perception of a turnaround here in the 6th inning.
Tony Watson getting loose for the Pirates. 0-2 to Walker. O'Neill waits for it, grounds it to short. Simmons to Pena for 1, back to first, and that's a double play. But the Pirates strike for 3 runs, and the big blow off the bat of Gabby Sanchez. He goes dead central, and the Bucks up. Yet this season, coming in 3-0, having not given up a run, but the Pirates in the 6th inning got to him for 3, and James McDonald done for the night. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run. He walked 4, hit a man, and struck out 9. 94 pitches, so that'll make way for the left-hander Tony Watson to take over for him.
Nice bounce back start for James.
Let's tweet at Root Sports Pit, hashtag Bucks Booth. James had a chance to win when he's pitched so brilliantly tonight, so the Pirates give him a chance, and now they've got a 2-run lead starting the 7th inning. And Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop, will face Tony Watson.
And that'll be all for Paul Maholm, as Reed Johnson is in the on-deck circle already.
Pitch to Simmons. It's inside for a ball. Simmons 0 for 1 with a walk tonight. Pirates and Braves have split the first 2 games of this 4-game set. Last night a 6-0 shutout victory for the Pirates. And a bouncer to short. Barnes right there. 1 down. Tomorrow the Bucks battle the Atlanta Braves again. They'll wrap up this 4-game set. 1:35 the first pitch. All kids 14 and younger receive a Let's Go Bucks eco-friendly rally towel thanks to Waste Management. Come early for the #1 Cochran Family Fun Zone on Federal Street. Stay late. Kids get to run the bases after the game. For tickets, Pirates.com. There was Reed Johnson. Last year he was the best pinch hitter in the game. And he takes a strike. Gabby Sanchez, his first home run of the season.
Good time for the rally towel promos. The Pirates have rallied here in the 6th, take the lead.
0-2.
Now, what was it last night? The Reed Johnson pinch hit at bat was 114 pitches.
It seemed like it, didn't it?
Forever.
And 113 of them were foul balls. But he's 0 for 6 this year as a pinch hitter. Came over from the Cubs same day Mahalam was traded last year. And McHenry setting up way inside. That's where Watson's pitch went. 1-2. One and two to Reed Johnson. 1 out, nobody on.
Here we go. Here we go. Oh, ball.
See where Sanchez is playing off the line and get a good perspective from that camera angle how much room there is between the line and Gabby for the right-hander Johnson. Pirates try to shade the opposite side of the diamond. Got it. Strike 3. 2 down in the top half of the 7th inning.
Pirate pitching in double figures with strikeouts tonight. Chased a pitch way outside. I guess that's the key to Reed Johnson. Don't throw him strikes. He'll foul them off.
B.J. Upton 0 for 3. Struck out twice and then was robbed of a home run by Starling Marte in left field. And Upton wasn't the only one who was robbed. There was a kid with a glove right behind Marte waiting to catch probably his first home run ball. There he is in the striped hat. Held his glove up there and he came away disappointed. Double barrel action now for Freddie Gonzalez Braves. A couple of right-handers warming up. Corey Guerin and Jordan Walden. Guerin on the right, Walden on the left. And this one is a loop to short right field. Sanchez can't make the play. And a base hit for B.J. Upton.
And it doesn't look like any big deal as the Pirates have taken the lead, but it's just a 2-run lead that brings the tying run to home plate. Gabby hit the turn and then made the correct turn, but kind of got himself a little farther away than he wanted to be. Had to reach back. Sometimes you get turned around enough, you don't have the correct angle when the ball comes down.
The HH cam gives us a great look.
See if Tony can pick him up.
Jason Hayward 0 for 2 with a walk.
It's an awkward play, but everybody that's involved in a play just like that will tell you that they should have made the catch.
A left on left matchup here with Watson against Hayward. 2 outs, top of the 7th. Pirates up by a pair of runs. Hayward looked a little anxious chasing that pitch down and away.
That's a hard pitch to hit when you swing at something that's far away. I don't think you have a long enough bat.
Need a telephone pole to hit that one.
Indeed.
And the 0-1. And a bouncer foul. So it's 0-2 to Hayward. Three runs on 4 hits for the Pirates, 1 run on 3 hits for the Braves. Upton off first, held on by Sanchez, 2 down. Fort with springs for legs.
Yeah, Michael's not that tall. He's going to need a good set of springs and shocks.
Fort McHenry. Watson deals. This one in the air to shallow left. Out goes Barmes. In comes Marte. Calls him off. Makes a catch. And Upton is stranded. Stretch time. Middle of the 7th at PNC Park. Pirates up 3-1. More terrific shots from the AGH cam in tonight's AGH Sports Medicine injury update. Francisco Liriano and Jose Contreras both pitching with Altoona tonight. Liriano 2 2/3, gave up 4 runs on 4 hits, walked 3, struck out 4. Contreras a clean inning with a strikeout. Injury update brought to you by Allegheny Sports Medicine, official medical provider of the Pirates. Liriano and Contreras, a couple of veteran guys on the same path. They both pitched in Bradenton on the same night in Single A, now in Double A in Altoona tonight. Corey Guerin takes over for Paul Maholm for Atlanta to pitch in the bottom of the 7th. Maholm leaves on the hook. That's ball 2.
Final numbers for Paul: 6 innings, 3 earned runs on 4 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts.
For 2 tonight for McHenry. And he is ahead, 3 balls and no strikes against Corey Guerin.
Yeah, let's get some more. This is really not a substantial lead. It's a lead, and it's a good thing, but nice to get some more.
Strike. Well, it looks like a real pitcher's duel going on in Houston tonight. As Alvarez has a bat in his hand. You see Pedro now, the right-hander's in the game. Pitcher's duel in Houston between Cleveland and the Astros. It's the Indians 18, Astros 6, and they're in the 4th inning. That's a fair ball. And around first and heading for second base is McHenry. He'll be in with a leadoff double.
Right on the truck.
McHenry chugging to second base. He won't have to run now except back to the dugout. His night's going to be done. Alex Presley will go out and pinch run. And Russell Martin will don the gear. He'll go back behind the plate. You'd think Alvarez would be the third baseman entering late here. Pedro is in the on-deck circle with Barmes at the plate. Pitch from Guerin. Armas squares and takes the ball. Pirates with a chance to add on here in the 7th inning, leading 3-1.
These are the kind of situations when you even add just one run on it, seems like 3 to the other team. It just makes it more uphill for them.
One ball and 1 strike now to Barnes. Barnes had a rough first 2 months of the season last year. He'll be the first to tell you he was extremely disappointed in how things went offensively for him in April and May last year, but really turned it on in the second half of the season. Finished around where you think he might. Added a number of key doubles and some extra base hits toward the end of the season.
It's a struggling start this year.
Trying to get the runner to third. And this one will do it as it goes to the backstop. Now Presley at third base and nobody out. And that changes the at-bat for Barmes, who was up there to sacrifice. Now he can try for a sacrifice fly, perhaps.
Yeah, that's a pass ball. You've got a young, inexperienced catcher in Gaddis. It's fine. Wild pitch. All right. That's one of those whatever. He's at third base.
The Braves infield is in. And Barmes with a 2-ball 1-strike count. Insurance run right there, and Alex Presley. And Guerin delivering 2-1. And Barmes swing and a miss.
It's not too far away from that last delivery that got away, the previous delivery. Freddie Gonzalez and Roger McDowell going into conference.
And Barmes with a bad chase there. And he goes down on strikes, 1 out. Pedro Alvarez swinging a pretty good bat against the Braves. He's homered in each of his last 2 ball games. That one, a monster shot. Look how high it hits off the batter's eye in center field. And then in the game last night, over the right field seats and almost down under the river walk and into the river. So El Toro is going to get up there and they'll walk him.
The right-hander to stay in and face the right hand, top of the batting order.
So that'll mean Starling Marte will get to swing the bat. It's the third wide one, 3-0.
I guess I bet he'll miss. Yeah, he did. He missed again.
Well, that's some great analysis there, Steve.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Right on it. So the intentional walk with runners at the corners. And Flash looking for some Joel cut magic here.
Here we go.
First and third, and 1 out. Presley at third. Alvarez down at first for Starling Marte. Marte 0 for 1, hit by a pitch and walk. He's also scored a run. And he chases one outside.
Guerin has that kind of quick sidearm delivery with that big breaking ball. A lot of breaking. The old roundhouse curveball, they used to call it. They're probably calling that pitch a slider now.
Is that right? Yep. That was your pitch.
Yep, but no, the slider. That last pitch, he might have called it a slider, but that was not my slider. My slider was a cut fastball. These breaking balls, they have their choice: curveball, slider. If it works, whatever the name, it's fine.
Marte down to third base. To second for 1. double play, and the Braves escape without giving up a run. Pirates spoil the leadoff double. On to the 8th, 3-1 Pirates.
And may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
3-1, top of the 8th. Pirates 5 hits, Braves with 3 hits with Bobby Ince-Mikowski and Steve Blass. I'm Tim Neverett on a chilly night at PNC Park, and the guy who has earned his role as the 8th inning man, the setup man, Mark Melancon, is on. Now Pedro Alvarez remains in the game at third base. Martin moves from third back to catcher, and there is Melancon. He pitched an inning last night.
And he has been terrific. 10 total innings. He has given up 1 run, and he has struck out 10. And he has not walked a batter.
Well, last night he came in to relieve Wandy Rodriguez in the 8th inning, and Clint Hurdle saying earlier today that he wanted to stay away from Melancon if possible, but the guys that were coming up were guys that he wanted him to face, and Melancon ended up doing a good job. At a 1-2-3 inning, striking out 1. Faced Gaddis, Johnson, and Ugla. And right here, he will face Upton, Gaddis, and Johnson. Well, Melancon trying to get it done and close the door. And the job of the guys in the bullpen, including the 8th inning man here, the setup guy, is to get the ball to the closer. Right now, Melancon second in the National League in appearances out of the pen with 10, behind the Diamondbacks' Brad Ziegler. Strike 1 to Justin Upton. Melancon with Boston last year, Houston before that. Strike 2.
ERA under 1. Well, Mark, he's been terrific. His speed has been outstanding. Control has been as good or better. Hard to beat not walking anybody in 10 innings.
The only pitcher not available tonight is Vin Mazzaro. He's pitched in each of the last 2 games, so unavailable to go tonight. Pirates will rest him. But right now the script is calling for the 8th inning guy, the setup guy, and then right there Jason Grilli walking into the picture. He would pitch in the 9th. And a poke to right field. An excuse me single for Justin Upton. Leadoff man is aboard in the 8th inning. Here's a look at the road ahead for the Pirates, brought to you by Nissan. The last game of this 4-game series against the Braves. It'll be right-hander Chris Medlin who was 1-1 going against lefty Jonathan Sanchez. Sanchez 0-2, and Sanchez trying to get that ERA down after a couple of rough starts. Gave up 9 earned runs in a game against the Diamondbacks. Just one of 2 pitchers in baseball this year to give up 9 earned runs or more in a game. The other was Matt Cain of the Giants. Cain gave up a bunch more runs the other day, so he is at a big ERA right now. So Gaddis swings, hits a ground ball to Walker at second base. He'll have 1 play. It's the first. Gaddis is out, 1 gone, and over to second base is Upton.
Well, you take the out that's available, and it gets you on the other side of all that power Gaddis has.
Walker getting the out. Walker wearing the clear glasses on a breezy, cool night. He does that. He wears contacts. He wears those glasses just to keep the dust and wind off the contact lenses. Justin Upton, the runner at second base, and 1 out. Chris Johnson at the plate. Johnson with 2 hits in the game. Melanson gets him to swing and miss. Pretty good average so far through almost a month of the season, 426. One of those 2 home runs came in game 1 of this series Thursday. Right back to Melanson. They've got Upton back to second base, and Melanson takes the out at first.
I thought he was going to go. They had him, if he makes a decision quickly to go and get the runner at second base, they get him in a rundown. But once he hesitates, then okay, you got to shut it down because it's not sure anymore.
Ramiro Pena, who is 0 for 1 at the plate, and look up there. What a great season.
But it's get a little late.
It's late early around here.
Put a lid on this one. Get the Pirate win. Get me home where it's warm.
It's just missing inside to Pena. Pena's 0 for 1.
Part of this crowd of 29,313.
Big one tonight on Andrew McCutchen bobblehead night. 45 degrees at game time. It skipped a few cents. 2-0 to Pena. Pena represents the tying run for Atlanta. Melanson delivering the 2-0 pitch. It's 3-0. Melanson trying to come back in this count. Pena came in halfway through the ball game, or a little earlier in the ball game, for Dan Ugla, who left with a left calf strain. Pena replaced him at second base. Strike call. The 3-1. And as a little dribbler that'll be taken by Melanson. And another scoreless inning for Mark Melanson. Pirates coming to bat in the bottom of the 8th.
but they may have even had a better night off the field tonight. Last night they said that they would contribute the proceeds to the 50-50 from the Pirates charities to the OneFundBoston.org. And look at the sales tonight, $17,165. Half of that goes to the winner of the 50-50, and the other half goes to the charity in Boston. $8,582.50 is what is headed there, and the proceeds in that amount of money goes to benefit victims affected by the tragedies in Boston this week. So a very good night here in Pittsburgh all around, Tim.
Yep. Way to go, Pittsburgh.
It's a nice job. Did you get a ticket tonight?
I did not.
Bucks and pucks today on Root Sports. Tabata hits one in the air to right field. Hayward backs up, makes the catch, one gone. Jordan Walden.
We saw him for an inning and a third, or 1/3 of an inning last night.
Sixth inning was the big inning. McCutcheon going the other way, high off the Clemente wall. And that got the first run in as Starling Marte scored, and then Gabby Sanchez puts it in the bushes. 2-run shot. And erases the 1-0 lead, makes it a 3-1 game. After Marte tied it up. 2-run homer by Sanchez. RBIs 6 and 7 for Gabby. McCutcheon with his 12th RBI tonight. 2 doubles for Kutch. And makes Nick Leva almost have to do the limbo in the third base coach's box. Still quick as a cat.
Yep. Nick, steely gray eyes, cat-like movements.
Steely gray eyes.
Steel City.
Always Italian, somehow.
Nick, good baseball man. A lot of years. A lot of good years for the Pirate third base coach.
1-1 to McCutcheon. Takes outside 2-1. Yeah, Nick was a former manager of the Phillies.
Yep. Anybody that's managed in Philadelphia could write a book.
Up in the air to left field. Justin Upton will make the catch. 2 men are out. Don't miss a special edition of Inside Pirates Baseball featuring former Pirate player and current hitting coach Jay Bell. Once at Allegheny Center overlooking Three Rivers Stadium, Bell now lives in downtown overlooking PNC Park, and much has changed in those 17 years. Inside Pirates Baseball, Jay Bell, then and now, presented by Allegheny Sports Medicine. Debuts Tuesday, 10:30 on Root Sports. The offense has really picked up under Jay the last couple of weeks. It's almost grilling time for the grill master, Jason Grilly.
And Jay Bell's so good that he won't waste offense, too. Probably figure he's going to take 3 tonight, so, yeah, you don't want to waste it.
Gabby Sanchez batting with 2 outs and the base is empty, takes a strike. Gabby had a thought of pulling the trigger on that, but stopped himself. 0-2.
The pitching rich Atlanta Braves come into town and they win the first game, but boy, the Pirate starters last night tonight, pretty darn impressive.
Base hit for Sanchez. 2 for 4 tonight for Gabby as he ropes a 2-out single to right field.
Pretty nice deal. 1 year as a manager. Clint Hurdle in this case can change his first baseman, and Garrett Jones has been getting the job done, and tonight he goes with Gabby Sanchez, and Gabby Sanchez gets the job done. Nice. Way to go, Clint. You write the names down, then you hope they perform. Gabby certainly has tonight.
Russell Martin, the base hit. Martin's 1 for 2 with a pair of walks. So back-to-back 2-out singles for the Pirates. A little something going with Neil Walker coming to the plate. Nice to see the bat of Russell Martin getting going.
Yep.
He had a tough start. Started the year 0 for 17. Had a rough road trip to LA and Arizona, and then after that, things have really picked up for him.
And this surge has been kind of spread out, so everybody kind of getting invited to the offensive party here in recent games. That's nice.
Well, Walker gets to turn around and bat left-handed now. He'd been batting right-handed against Maholm, and he had a little trouble. Except for the bunt base hit. Got into a double play and struck out, but Neal's still 1 for 3 tonight.
And you're doing this against one of the best pitching staffs in all of baseball. Starting pitchers and bullpen combined. Pirates holding their own. Looking for 3 more outs to guarantee a split. You know, you got a team that came in, what were they, 13-2?
Yes.
They came in. And
hadn't lost a road game until last night.
You stand up tall and you hold your own against that kind of surging team. It's not done deal yet, but get 3 more outs, put yourself in a really good position for tomorrow's game.
2 strikes to Walker. Garrett Jones on deck. One ball, 2 strikes to Walker. 2 on, 2 out. Sanchez at second and Russell Martin at first. Gaddis blocks it. Count is even 2-2.
Their pitching has been so good. If you wanted to beat the Braves, you got to really shut them down.
Well, they are 13-3, Steve. All 3 losses, they've been shut out.
Yep, you got just 1 run tonight, so you got to outpitch them. That works against a lot of teams.
2-2 to Walker. He struck him out. Well, it's grilling time as Jason Grilli will come on. He'll look for his 6th save of the year. The NCAA tournament to defeat Cincinnati and send the Mountaineers to the Sweet 16. We live this bracket-busting classic on our next Sunday Night Classics. Boise buzzer beater tomorrow at 8 on Root Sports. Be a good one. What a good one here tonight. 3-1 Pirates. And Jason Grilli is on the hill, the Pirates closer. And they're hoping to raise that. When this one is said and done, 3 outs away from defeating the Braves 2 of the first 3 games.
His 6th save, should he get it tonight? Number 5 came exactly a week ago.
Well, really ready to go. And he will face Juan Francisco, Andrelton Simmons, and the 9-hitter. So 7, 8, 9 due up for the Braves in the top of the 9th inning. The 6th inning was the one for the Pirates when they got to Paul Maholm, scoring 3 at an RBI double by McCutchen, a 2-run homer by Gabby Sanchez. Now Jason Grilli trying to close it out. Ball 1 to Francisco, who has taken the collar so far tonight. He has struck out 3 times. That one is inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Grilli, who always looks down and peers up to get his sign, agrees with Russell Martin. He's set 2-0. Foul back.
I think when I look at Jason Grilli, he's off to a great start. He's a very excitable guy, and I think he's at his best when he contains that, because that's a positive part of him. And just as long as he doesn't let that excitement and that energy bubble over, just as long as it's contained aggression, along with a real good high fastball.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt either. Well, trying to get hyped here at PNC Park as the Buccos on the verge of beating the Braves here, but 3 outs to go, 2 balls, 2 strikes to Juan Francisco. Francisco just got a piece of it.
Yep. Stayed with that breaking ball, that slider. Pretty good job of staying alive by Francisco. High heat and then low breaking ball.
Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop, in the on-deck circle. Braves with 4 hits tonight. James McDonald started this one, left after 6. He struck out 9. Gave up 1 earned run on 2 hits. Got him. Strike 3. Francisco now wearing the golden sombrero. He has struck out 4 times.
High heat. It was high heat, then down low with a breaking ball and back upstairs. Changing that sight line from low to high and high to low, back and forth.
Simmons is 0 for 2 with a walk. And he stood him up with a breaking ball for strike 1.
They downplay that second pitch, but it's so good as a strike on its own or set up the fastball.
Pitch outside for a ball. It's 1-1.
You go back to back with a breaking ball, and the hitter knows that somewhere lurking is that real good fastball. He's yet to see it.
Well, he shook off the first one.
There it is.
There it is. Cheese at the knees. One and 2. Jason Grilli facing Andrelton Simmons. 1 out in the 9th. Hey, struck him out. Jason Grilli has struck out the first 2 Braves in the 9th. 1 out to go.
There's that so-called second pitch, which is the breaking ball. Swing starts a little bit early, perhaps thinking fastball is coming, and now he's trapped into swinging at a bad pitch.
Well, Freddie Gonzalez goes with a left-handed bat off the bench. Jordan Schaefer, an outfielder. He is the last hope for the Braves. And Grilli deals him a strike. 0-1 to Jordan Schaefer. Tried to bunt his way on, and that's strike 2.
Just incite the crowd. 1 pitch away.
So now Grilly looking for his put-away pitch and to end this ball game. Melting some cheese. Grilly has struck out the first 2 men in the 9th. Strikes out the side, and the ball game is over. Jason Grilly 6 for 6 in save opportunities. He saves it for James McDonald. McCutchen with a pair of doubles and an RBI tonight. Gabby Sanchez hits the 2-run homer in the 6th inning. And the Pirates go above 500 to 9-8 and take 2 of the first 3. They've now won 6 of their last 8.
And how about the bookends on this ball game? James McDonald comes out and strikes out the side in the first. Grilly comes into the ball game in the 9th and strikes out the side to end the ball game. Nice start, nice finish, nice win for the Bucks.
Pirates win it 3-1. Let's go down to Rob King and Kent DeCovey.